Welcome back to American Black Journal.
Thank you, Stephen Henderson. Always good to be with you.
Yes, and of course, congratulations on being named National Activist of the Year for the NAACP. That's a huge award, and any year you might win it is a big deal. But I feel like, especially for the last year, you think of all the things that have happened in our country that required an activist response. To win it in this year, it's an even bigger deal.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know, I don't do the work for the awards or for the reward of being able to help people, but I'm very appreciative of it. And in my acceptance, I thanked and accepted for all of the activists across the country who never get mentioned, whose name never get called, who are not in proclamations or in the paper, but they just do the work. There are millions of people that do this kind of work. Never be heralded, but I thank God that I can say something for them. And awards mean two things: work that has been done and work that is yet to be done. We still got some work to do, and you know that.
Yeah. So here we are in 2021, more than 55 years since the passage of the Voting Rights Act, more than 150 years since the ratification of the 15th Amendment to the Constitution. And we are still having an argument, and a very spirited one right now, about the Black vote. There is still a significant portion of the white population of this country that feels threatened by Black votes. And I think all of the things that we're seeing in Georgia and in Michigan, and in these other states is affirmation of that. This is about fear of the Black vote.
You're absolutely correct, Stephen. And it's also 53 years after the assassination of Dr. King on April 4th in Memphis, as he stood up for the rights of sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, who carried signs saying, "I am a man." Mm-hmm. In other words, recognizing me, I have purpose. I have value. Well, it still seems as though our lives are not valued, but we've gotten victories. Stephen, if we have not been victorious in 2020, if the number of Black people had not shown up, they would not be trying to do this. There is no evidence of voter fraud, voter irregularity in terms of behavior, or cheating by Black and brown people in this nation. Even Republican leaders of states, particularly in Georgia, Raffensperger said there's no evidence of voter fraud. Even Kemp, the governor of Georgia, said that, which is why he couldn't do anything, because he had no power. But yet, because Donald Trump, former president, said, "I need 11,780 votes, fellas. I don't care what y'all do. Get me these votes." And they couldn't do it. And he said that he was sorry he supported Kemp. And he said, if y'all had put things in position and place, then I would be president right now. Well, these legislators have gone back and they're putting things in place so that they can overturn elections. The Black and brown vote is not what they are planning on, and they believe that if they don't do this, if they don't cheat, if they don't suppress the vote, then they will lose the vote. Rather than expanding their policies, they're trying to reduce our ability to participate in the voting process. I mean, you can't serve people water and food while they stand in a line. I mean, I can't give my grandmama or granddaddy or mama, daddy or auntie a bottle of water as they stand in line for 8, 9, 10, 11 hours, which you have created by your removing drop boxes, by your shortening the time period in which people can vote. And now, Stephen, 47 states with over 361 bills of introduction are now trying to implement this. And right here in the good old home state, pure Michigan, they are trying to introduce 39 bills to suppress the vote. And so we cannot abide that. We are not going back to the plantation. I don't care what they do, we ain't going back. So you might as well get that memo. We are not going back. Our voting rights have been won by the blood, sweat, tears, bones of our people, the martyrs, Black folk, white folk, and brown folk. We won this, and we're not going to let you take it from us.
Yeah. So one of the interesting dimensions of this debate is the role that corporations have been asked to play in some cases, and in some cases have stepped up to play on their own. And I feel like in Georgia, that was reactive, right, to what they passed. I wonder if there's an opportunity here in Michigan, since we haven't had votes on this, since we haven't seen the legislature actually act on it. Where's corporate Michigan? Where is corporate Detroit in trying to make it clear that that this is not okay, that you can't win by making sure that people don't exercise their right to vote?
You hit the nail on the head, Stephen. That's one part of the trilogy of which we are working. I've been in contact with several corporations. You know, last year we brought the corporations together downtown Detroit. They made commitments about racial equity, fighting against systemic racism. Some have implemented programs, some are addressing it, some are still yet to address it. But we've been in communications with Ford, General Motors, TCF, Quicken Loans, the Ilitch Foundation or the Ilitch Group, Henry Ford Health System, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all the ones that were there and others last year. Some have responded to the degree that they are opposed to this, but how they will come out. I don't need you to just say we are for racial equity if you don't put that into practice. Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, the Major League Baseball pulled out of Atlanta, out of Georgia because of this stuff. And several companies, Lyft, Uber, Microsoft, a number of them have gone on record, American Airlines, of opposing this. These companies have African-American employees, Latino employees that work with them. They have some managers. You need to speak up for your people. We drink Coca-Cola. We drive your cars. We use your software. We do all the things that we do. We are a significant constituency. And so you need to pay attention to that, Stephen. 72 African-American CEOs have spoken out against this. Ken Chanel and others they took out a big 4-page ad in the New York Times. They're calling on other corporations to do the same thing to oppose this. They're saying, use your lobbyists, use your PAC dollars, your political action committee dollars. Don't fund it. How are you going to fund good and evil at the same time? How are you going to be for racial equity for following George Floyd and then be for voter suppression following the introduction of these bills? And let's not wait until the horse has left the gate. Let's do it before he leaves. Don't wait till the ink is dry and the deal is done to say you are against this. Come out now. That's what we're pushing for. That's what we're fighting for. And we've gotten some good response, but it's not enough. Following the Business Roundtable, which has a milquetoast statement about, well, we believe in racial equity, we believe in the right to vote, fine, then do something about it. Tell your Republican colleagues and friends that you don't support this. Tuesday, Stephen, we, meaning the Coalition of Community Organizations, NAACP, Council of Baptist Pastors, the Divine Nine, fraternities, sororities, labor organizations, we will be in Lansing on the state steps of the Capitol to rally and protest this. Join us, folks, Tuesday at 12 o'clock noon in Lansing to let them know. The legislators come back in the office in the session on that day. We want to greet them and meet them and say, we do not support this. And we're asking corporations to do the same thing. They ain't got to get out there and march with us, but march your money away from these people. March your lobbyists to these people and say, no, this won't go. Everybody has a stake in this.
Yeah, and it all just reminds, of course, of the award that you got earlier, the activism that's necessary still to make sure that, we not only fight for the right to vote, but think of all that work that we did in the last year, the last 2 years, to make sure people exercise it, to make sure they show up and cast their ballots at the polls. And that's something you've been working on for.
Right. But Stephen, last year, 3.3 million Michigan citizens voted by absentee ballot.
All right.
Last year, 30,000 registered on election day. 250 post-election audits were conducted in the state with over 1,300 Republican, Democrat, and independent clerks. Now they want to change that. They want to add on ID for absentee ballots. They want to prevent the Secretary of State from mailing absentee ballots to all Michiganders, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Right. She's sending out applications for everybody to be able to vote. We should not be allowing folks to prohibit the use of an absentee ballot in a drop box. And so you're going to stop them from dropping it in the box at 5 o'clock and don't give them any stamps to return this. What is this about? This is about voter suppression. When you put all those dynamics together, it's a puzzle. It works for one conclusion: to suppress, negate, and obviate the vote in the state of Michigan. We cannot abide that. Everybody has a stake in it. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not an independent issue. It is an American issue. Democracy is the underpinning of our nation. If we lose that, we lose everything.